One of the things clients are sometimes concerned with are scope changes, right? Projects sometimes have a way of taking on their own life, and you hit this, what we might call might as well syndrome. It's like, well, we've got these guys here, they're doing a good job, we might as well add this and we might as well add that. Well, one time I was sitting down with a client, it was a large scale project, a little over $650,000. And the client said, I only want to spend 600, and we downscaled the project. We made a few minor changes to it. Huge estate, right? And the husband said, I want to make sure we're clear that there will be no extra charges on this project whatsoever. And I said, I don't have any problem with that. As long as you don't add anything, there won't be any extra charges for the job. And working with the client, and as the project's going along, Aisha is taking me through the project. She's got me arm in arm, walking me through the backyard, and Aisha wants this, and Aisha wants that. Aisha wants this, and I wait a minute, aren't you Aisha? So Aisha had put together a list of things she wanted, and I put together a proposal for the scope changes that she'd asked for. A little over $60,000 worth of extra work that she wanted. So $60,000 is a lot of money, and quite frankly brought us right back to where we were when we proposed the project in the first place. So at one of my site meetings, I sat down with the client, with Aisha and her husband at the table, and I went over these scope changes that she'd asked me for. And the husband looks at me and he says, I thought we had a deal. There weren't going to be any extra changes, no extra charges. I made it very clear to you. Get out of my house. Like, what? But your wife, I don't care. Get the hell out of my house. And it's the first time, it's the only time I've ever been thrown out of somebody's house. And I'm walking to the door like a puppy with my tail between my legs. And Aisha says to me, can you start on Monday? And I said, didn't you hear your husband just now? He told me in no uncertain terms that I am not to do any of these extra things. And he threw me out of the house. And she says, don't worry, if he wants to have a good weekend, then you could start on Monday. So this is back in the day of fax machines, and I get into the office Monday morning, and everything was signed and approved. And we started that next week on the extras that she wanted, and we ended up with a fabulous project that everybody was thrilled with. A comment on scope changes. One of the things, and I teach this in my seminars because it's really important, you have to be careful anytime you have a change in scope that it's documented right away in writing. If it's not, the value of the service is greatly diminished immediately after it's done, and the customer forgets. It's actually called the call girl principle. The value of services greatly diminishes immediately after the services are provided. Meaning when you're horny, you're willing to pay a little extra money for something. Once you're satisfied, not sure it was worth the money. And so this comes into play in construction. Another good example of this would be an experience I had myself, where I had some plumbing that needed to be done in my house. I had something leaking, and I called the plumber out, and he came out and he took a look at it and he says, I can fix this, and it's going to be $250. And now I needed it fixed, so I said, well, $250, that seems to be okay. Go ahead and fix it. Now he went underneath the counter and he was there for, 3 minutes or so. He tightened something up, and there it was fixed. And now that the service has been provided, I said, well, wait a minute, $250 for 5 minutes worth of work. I am a nationally known public speaker, a seminar instructor. I don't get $250 for 5 minutes. And you know what he said to me? He says, neither did I when I was a nationally known public speaker. Something I teach in my seminars, something I teach my staff. Let's make sure we document the scope changes while we go. If somebody wants something extra, we're happy to do it. Let's just make sure we all agree up front ahead of time what the value of that service is, how long it's going to take, how it might affect the rest of the schedule for the project, and what the cost associated with it is.